My name is Nick Legler. I work with the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, and today I will provide some basic updates on behalf of the Lake Michigan Salmonid Working Group. The Salmonid Working Group has 15 formal members from 9 different agencies, including state, federal, tribal, and university representatives from all around Lake Michigan. A primary role of the Lake Michigan Salmonid Working Group is to annually update the Lake Michigan predator-prey ratio analysis. As listed here, there are numerous indicators used with the predator-prey ratio analysis, which can be used to help evaluate predator-prey balance in Lake Michigan and ultimately provide information that can be used to help guide management and stocking decisions for the lake. The PPR relies on numerous data sets that are collected and shared annually by cooperators from around Lake Michigan, and these data sets are listed here. Several of these data sets, as highlighted in yellow, are used for statistical catch-at-age modeling. Models are used for each salmonid species as well as alewife to produce several outputs or results, including predator abundance, predator consumption, and alewife abundance. So I will note that it's standard practice to complete the PPR annually by an estimated deadline of early May per guidance from the LMC. However, the last official modeled results of the PPR, or the Chinook to alewife ratio, have not been calculated officially for about 2 years now. The PPR was not calculated last year in 2021. This would have been using 2020 survey data, and this was largely due to pandemic-related gaps in survey and data availability. So despite this lag, the PPR and lake trout modelers have remained fairly busy and productive over the last couple of years, and several very positive adjustments have been made for both the PPR models as well as some of the data inputs. These model improvements or adjustments are highlighted here in blue, and these things have been vetted through the LMTC, and currently the Salmonid Working Group is working to update the PPR with these adjustments along with the most recent 2021 survey data. So while many PPR results rely heavily on this catch-at-age modeling and are not available today with the most recent survey data, what I will focus on today is the several PPR indicators as listed here, which have all been updated to date with information through 2021. So I will start by looking at Chinook salmon harvest estimates, which is one data set that feeds into the catch-at-age model for Chinook salmon. So this figure shows estimated numbers of Chinook salmon harvested lake-wide. This is from both creel and charter reporting, and it includes boat, pier, and shore fishing. And you can generally see we saw a high harvest of over 800,000 in 2005. And since this harvest has generally decreased down to a low of about 112,000 Chinook salmon harvested in 2020, and then a slight increase up to about 170,000 Chinook salmon harvested in 2021. Next, I'll take a look at angler effort. So this figure shows targeted salmonid effort expressed in angler hours, and this is just for boat fishing methods. And generally, we've seen a decreasing trend in salmonid angler effort through this entire time series. We saw a low of 1.8 million estimated angler hours in 2021, and this was up slightly to about 2.3 million angler effort hours in 2022. So next I'll break these numbers down a little bit and we'll look at harvest effort and harvest rate specifically for charter boats. Again, focusing on Chinook salmon here with data through 2021. So this slide shows charter harvest of Chinook salmon by state in the different colors. And generally, we've seen a decreasing trend in harvest since 2007. However, all states did see an increase in Chinook salmon harvested by charter boats in 2021. So this figure shows targeted salmonid effort by charter boats, and generally we've seen relatively consistent effort throughout this entire time series, with Michigan and Wisconsin having higher effort, and then generally less effort in Illinois and Indiana. But similar trends through time, and generally we did see an increase in charter boat effort in 2021. And then if we combine these two figures and look at numbers of Chinook salmon harvested by charter boats divided by targeted Salmonid effort by charter boats, we can look at this in terms of a catch rate. And we've seen a decreasing catch rate since about 2006, with a slight increase in this catch rate in 2021. And I will acknowledge that this is a harvest per angler hour just for Chinook salmon. So if you consider that charter boats are running multiple anglers, multiple lines, and certainly catching several other species as well, if you were to look at the actual catch rate for fish in an individual charter boat, the number being caught would be higher than what is expressed here. So while the numbers of Chinook salmon harvested is down, we have in recent years seen an increase in the size of the Chinook salmon being captured. And next I will share some information from DNR surveys that show some of these patterns in Chinook salmon size. Specifically, I will look at the average weights of age 3 female Chinook salmon, and these salmon were collected at weirs from the states of Wisconsin and Michigan, and then there was also harbor electrofishing surveys that were conducted in Illinois in the fall. So collectively in 2021, the different agencies around Lake Michigan sampled 587 known age 3 female Chinook salmon. These salmon were aged based on coated wire tags, fin clips, and otoliths. And this figure here shows the individual weight versus length of these age 3 female Chinook salmon. Overall, the weights ranged from 5 to 31 pounds, and lengths of these age 3 female Chinook salmon range from 26 up to 41 inches. So this figure shows the average weight in 2021 of these age 3 female Chinook salmon per the different locations sampled. So harbors in Illinois, the average weight was 11.7 pounds. And then Michigan, we saw 14.1 up to 15 pounds. And then at the 3 weirs in Wisconsin, these average weights range from about 17 up to 19 pounds. And on the next slide here, I will expand this out and look at the trends of these average weights through time. So this figure shows the average weight of age 3 female Chinook salmon collected in the fall. And overall, we saw decreases in weight from 2019 to 2020 at 3 different locations, the Root River, Basadney, and in Illinois harbors. And similarly, for 2020 to 2021, we saw additional decreases in these Chinook salmon weights at 4 of these facilities. So if we look at the average weight of age 3 female Chinook salmon across all locations sampled in Lake Michigan, we see generally similar patterns throughout the lake. And if we combine all of these with a weighted average, we can look at the overall average weight of an age 3 Chinook. So lake-wide, the average weight of an age 3 female Chinook salmon in 2021 was 18.3 pounds. And this has generally been a decreasing trend for the past 2 years. So in 2019, we actually saw a record high weight of 21.1 pounds, and that decreased by about 2.8 pounds in 2021. So if we look at more general patterns here, we saw record low weights in Chinook salmon from 2004 to 2010. And then following that, we saw highly variable weights from about 2011 to 2016. And then very recently, in the past 5 or 6 years, we've seen relatively big Chinook salmon at our facilities in the fall, ranging from about 18 to 21 pounds. Previous benchmarks for Chinook salmon weight range from 15 to 19 pounds, and we have been within or above that range now for the past 6 years. So next, I'd like to broaden this perspective a little bit and look not only at Chinook salmon, but angler harvest of all the Salmonid species within Lake Michigan. So this figure is taken directly from the annual lake-wide extractions report, which is calculated in recent years by Rebecca Redmond from Illinois. And what this shows is the total harvested weight by anglers through time for each of the salmonid species. And throughout this entire time series, Chinook salmon has remained a major component of the fishery by weight, followed in recent years closely by lake trout, and then smaller contributions of coho, steelhead, and brown trout. If we expand this data out and adjust the y-axis, we can look more closely at trends for each of these individual species. So we've seen decreases in harvested weight for both Chinook salmon and brown trout. Sport harvested weight of lake trout has been increasing during recent years. And then we've seen variable but somewhat stable contributions of both coho and steelhead harvested weight. So if we add all of this angler harvested weight together for these salmonid species, and then we also factor in harvest from other sources like weirs and agency assessments, we can look at this in terms of a total lake-wide harvested weight by all methods, and we can use this to evaluate our fish community objectives. So one fish community objective is to establish a diverse salmonine community capable of sustaining an annual harvest of 2.7 to 6.8 million kilograms. And these two figures here I collected from the Lake Trout Working Group report, and I would like to specifically highlight that from 2014 to 2021, harvest of all salmon and trout was at or just below this 2.7 million kilogram benchmark. So considering these FCO harvest targets, certainly there are many complex factors that come into play here, but I'd just like to highlight a couple quick points that come to mind when I think about these targets. And the first one that I'll highlight is, again, salmonid effort, which as shown earlier has generally decreased through time. So another important factor is stocking and wild production of salmonids in Lake Michigan. And just as one example, this slide shows the total number of Chinook salmon stocked into Lake Michigan lake-wide through 2021. And on several occasions, stocking has been adjusted in an effort to balance predator-prey populations in Lake Michigan. I will note that recently in 2020 and 2021, stocking of Chinook salmon was increased to about 2.4 million annually throughout the lake. Another important consideration is the overall balance between predator and prey populations and being able to maintain a sustainable balance to support both Lake Michigan's ecosystem and the important fisheries. So the predator-prey ratio analysis results copied here are already 2 years old, and although these results will be updated in coming months, I would at least like to highlight a couple of the trends that we see. So Chinook salmon stocking has been adjusted on numerous occasions to try to balance predator-prey populations. And as a result, we have seen an overall reduction in the numbers of Chinook salmon in Lake Michigan, as shown here with a decreasing trend in Chinook salmon biomass. Alewife biomass has also generally been decreasing and remains low compared to some historic higher levels. And this is due to several complex factors, including changes in Lake Michigan's ecosystem, as well as predation by various salmonid predators. And collectively, we've seen a decreasing trend in the overall ratio of Chinook salmon to alewife. In summary, Chinook salmon harvest by anglers has generally decreased since 2005, but increased slightly in this last year in 2021. Salmonid angler effort steadily decreased since 1986, but also increased slightly in 2021. Total angler harvested weight of Chinook salmon has generally decreased, with lower but increasing harvested weight of lake trout, along with contributions of coho, steelhead, and brown trout. Chinook salmon size was relatively big the past 6 years. However, this size did decrease slightly in 2020 and 2021. Chinook salmon stocking increased to about 2.4 million annually in 2020 and 2021. This is lake-wide. Moving forward, the Salmonid Working Group is currently working to update the predator-prey ratio analysis with 2021 survey data, and we plan to have these results available shortly, sometime around May. So importantly, we'll be rolling out several model adjustments, which include improvements for lake trout, rainbow trout, and Chinook salmon. So lastly, I will acknowledge the many Salmonid Working Group members and cooperators who annually share and compile data for the predator-prey ratio analysis. A big thank you also to the predator-prey ratio and lake trout modeling teams for their significant efforts to evaluate and adjust models over the past couple of years. Certainly this was a major undertaking, and especially considering these updates and after a year of survey data gaps due to the pandemic, the Salmonid Working Group is certainly very eager to share updated PPR results with everybody in coming weeks. Once updated, I just want to point out that these results will be shared with the LMC, and a written report will also be posted on the GLFC's website. So thank you, and if there is time, then I welcome any questions or feedback.